I know what it's all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a founder and CEO of a Cray app. And of course, it's an app for everybody. It's, let's say, a dating partners. Oh, a dating partner, people, or dating partners. No other than Mr. Justin Smith.
Thank you for having me, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Welcome, Mr. Justin. Book one review, and can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Sure. About 18 months ago, I had a devastating life event where my partner of 8 years blindsided me by turning out to be a great actress, and I almost died. So I created this app to try and
Mhm.
help other people so that they don't suffer the same fate and that they can sort through their potential dating partners through the lens of safety and emotional safety.
Emotional safety and physical safety. We love that, Mr. Justin. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, today let's talk about the dating safely in online dating. So, beyond the obvious, what are the more subtle behavioral or conversational red flags in early messaging that people often explain away but should actually trust and safety cues?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's a lot of safety cues that people might ignore or push off. Someone who seems attentive that is actually just setting you up for reporting in and training you so that you respond to their messages within a certain time, or someone who may be extremely pressuring but couches it as just being confident. Those are things that I think that sometimes pop out or show themselves early on that we have a way of kind of talking ourselves out of thinking they're a big deal.
Hmm, a big deal. So, let's talk about the safety versus openness paradox. How do you balance being open hearted enough to make a genuine connection while maintaining the necessary protective skepticism for safety?
I think that's the million-dollar question, right? How do
Mm,
you engage with someone and create a connection while still being mindful about the risks of dating? And I think it's important to, it's almost like martial arts, and I'll use this analogy. Just because you've trained in martial arts doesn't mean you're looking for a fight every time you go out. But when you do go out, your mind and your lens of safety is looked through that lens. It makes you more confident. And I think having the skills to recognize the red flags enables you to go in and still be emotionally vulnerable while still protecting yourself. Because I think it's still important to engage in a genuine way with the person you're dating. So you can't let that safety lens inhibit you from making those connections.
Mr. Justin, tell us the app that you created. What is it all about?
So it's called Cray. I made it so that people had a way to look at objective data for their dating partner. Because that's the difficult thing these days, right? You meet someone online and you know nothing about them. And so I created a tool set so that people could kind of learn more about the person they're dating, do some background verification to make sure that the person is who they say they are. But more importantly, look at their actions and their behavior and their relationship in a way that gives you clarity on, is this a safe relationship for me? Or is this person trying to use me or manipulate me or deceive me? Because those are big issues, right? In online dating, we open ourselves up to a new person and we let them in, and we have no understanding of what risk there is to ourselves, to our heart, to our brain, to our body. And I wanted to give people that clarity.
Yes, and thank you for doing that, and thank you for sharing Cray Up to the world. Intuition versus paranoia. Many safety guides say trust your gut. How can someone distinguish between legitimate intuition and anxiety or past baggage influencing their judgment?
Yeah, it's a tough one because our bodies are great at picking up on things that our brains don't, right? That's why we have the somatic responses because it's our subconscious that picks up on something and is trying to send a signal to us. So I think it's important to trust your gut, but I think you also have to look at it through the lens of, is this a valid concern or is this my past trauma talking? So, for example, if you had a controlling partner and then your new partner shows an interest in you, are you going to be triggered in a way that makes you feel like the interest is actually control? And so I think people have to do some self-reflection on, what baggage they come into the dating world with and look at that, in an honest way and have that conversation with themselves. What can I do to prevent that from happening?
The Profile Vetting 2.0. What is your step by step process for vetting profile and a person digital footprint before agreeing to meet beyond a simple Google search?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I think pictures always tell a lot. Are the pictures taken even in the backgrounds that look like it's in your city or your home country? Because nowadays you have these AI pictures and the backgrounds end up being questionable with, like you live in the US and it has European architecture in the backdrop or something easy like that. But, also look at when are they contacting you? Are these people only contacting you during the day? Because if so, that's probably a red flag too. It means that maybe they're occupied at night with another partner or going out dating a lot. And I think the other big one is, do they show a genuine interest in you? Do they care about your life? Do they remember, what is going on in your world? I think each of those kind of is a good kind of first hurdle to pass these people through so that you make sure that you're meeting someone who's authentic, both in terms of who they are and the picture is matching of, the person that's showing up, but also who is this person in terms of, do they care about me? Do they treat me with kindness? Do they care about what I'm doing or my life? Those are really good early indications that someone's engaged or that's safe enough for you to take that first step.
Yes, definitely. Those are the red flags, people, on communication and pre meet phase. How essential is a video call before the first in person date for a safety assessment? And what should someone be observing during that call beyond just a casual conversation?
Yeah, I think, video calls are interesting because I think some people love them and some people hate them. So you kind
Hmm.
of have to approach it with I'd like to have a video call with you just to make sure there's some chemistry. But if the person's not interested, is that a reason because they're catfishing you, or do they just feel awkward on video calls? But I do think some sort of communication that's not just text-based will give you a lot of insight into the person. You can hear in their voice, do they care about you? Do they seem interested? Are they smiling when they look at you in a way that seems like they are engaged with you? Each of those matter, and I think video calls are a great way to test the chemistry because the worst thing you want to do is get out on a date and you're locked into a dinner with someone for 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever the night is supposed to be, and now you're like dying on the inside because this person has no chemistry with you.
Mm, yes, definitely. Video call, people, video call. Asking the safety questions. What are the tactful or non awkward ways to ask necessary safety questions before a meetup?
Um, I I think that for me personally, I think asking questions can rub some people the wrong way, like you're not trusting them. So I think you have to be careful about how you handle it. A verification photo goes a long way. It's helpful to give the other person peace of mind about who they're meeting if they don't do the video call. I think
Mm,
that, learning a little bit about their background might help too, because are they answering honestly? Or does it seem deflective or like they're avoiding giving too much information about themselves? Because that usually could be a sign that someone's not fully engaged in the date. They might be trying to scheme you for a reason, or they don't trust you, which could be a sign of a lot of trauma too.
Certainly. And the pressure and pace. Someone is pushing to move off of the app quickly, meet immediately, or to escalate intimacy fast. How should one interpret and respond to this from a safety perspective?
Yeah, I think so. Moving fast and changing plans and things like that are ways that people manipulate and pressure. And so I think, if someone's moving fast, they're not seeing you as a person. They're seeing you as either an ends to a goal or someone they want to use for a purpose. Because if someone's really interested in getting to know you as a person, they don't they don't care about how long it takes to peel back the layers of the onion. It's only the people who either want sex or financial exploitation or some other manipulation tactic do they move fast and try and pressure someone. I think it's also good to try and learn to create boundaries in a way that deflects that pressure. Practice saying no in ways that are soft so that you can, get yourself ready for that situation in a way that um, does not put the person off in a way that may create problems.
Yes. Certainly, yes. So, Mr. Justin, on the logistics of a safe meetup, the gold standards for a first date, what does the ideal safe first date look like in terms of location, timing, and activity? Why is it grabbing a drink often poorer choice than commonly thought?
I think the first and foremost rule that I have is meet in public. You want someplace in public with a lot of people, because what it does is it creates a safety net for you that the person won't act out in a way that's unsafe for you. So I think that's a huge one. I think going to dinner or some social situation where you get to see how this person treats service workers or wait staff is huge, because that says a lot about someone too. Or do they try and push you to order things, or do they act engaged during the conversation? And I think alcohol is always a bad idea on the first date, especially for women, because some men will use that to, make them a more pliable date for what they want out of them. So I think alcohol is always good to avoid for the first date or two, just to see if the chemistry is natural or if it's liquid courage talking. Because let's face it, there's a lot of us out there that, you go on a date, you have drinks with someone, the chemistry is good, and then the next day you're like, what was I thinking? I don't know why we had chemistry. So I think avoiding alcohol is great, a great suggestion.
Everyone needs an exit strategy. What are the grateful yet firm scripts of or for ending a date early if you feel uncomfortable without escalating potential conflict?
I think a great one that people can use or women can use is oh my gosh, my friend just called me and I have to go rescue her. She is stuck somewhere. Her car broke down. I have to leave. I'm really sorry. I've had a lot of fun. We'll have to do a rain check. Put the blame on some outside influence and not on the person, because I think a lot of people hate rejection. They don't know how to deal with it because they take
True.
it very personally. When it could just be that, I'm looking for someone funny and you're a little more serious than I'm looking for. But someone could take that really badly, unfortunately. So you got to come up with these plans, these stories, they give you a gentle, soft exit where someone doesn't feel rejected.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. So share your location, but with whom? What is the best practice for sharing your date details and real-time location? Is there specific template of information to send to a trusted friend?
Yeah, I always believe a group of friends is better than one friend because of the fact that that one friend may be busy. They may be out, going somewhere themselves and can't look at it the whole time. So group of friends, let them know the night's plans, what time you're meeting, where you're meeting, if you're planning on going someplace else. Because when they have your location, they can see if the plan deviates and if you're at some new location that you didn't mention. So I believe that those are big ones. I also believe that when people go on dates, they should drive themselves. That's a big one. You do not want to be stuck with the person you're on a date with, and you want to be in control of your own destiny. I think,
Yes.
check in throughout the night, maybe have like a set time, an hour or 30 minutes into the date that you're supposed to call them to let them know how it's going. Because it's not just about letting them know, where you'll be and at what time. It's also about them checking up on you so you feel safe in the experience. If you don't have a lot of dating experience or you've had bad experiences in the past.
Hmm. On digital and physical security, Mr. Justin, with the personal information, do people accidentally reveal too early through their profiles, photos, or conversation that can be compromise their safety?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had that happen where I had been talking to someone for a bit. I allowed them into my social media, and then they went off on it. So you got to be very careful letting people on your social media accounts or give them access to personal information that's identifiable. It's one thing for them to know you live in a city. It's another to know that you go to this specific restaurant every week or you like to go to this bar. So I would look at it as all your information should be kept private until someone's at a point where you feel like there's not a safety risk, where they may not make a scene or show up sometime when you're not expecting them. Because your personal life is a very personal and private thing, and it can impact your safety in a way that is going to really impact your life.
Definitely. The financial safety. What are the emerging scams in online dating that go beyond catfishing, such as romance scams or fraud? That what are the warning signs?
I always say, you know, it's funny. Men have a really tough time these days because there's a lot of women online that are, OnlyFans women or thing like that. Anyone who is trying to quickly move you to another platform and then is making hints that, they want a soft life or that they need money or, they'd love to get their nails done, any of those, like, I call it fishing for, activities, any of that kind of stuff, you have to be very, you have to pay attention to it because those little things do show up as signs that this person isn't engaged with you in a legitimate way and is trying to get money from you or some other, asset.
Mm, assets, yes. The substance safety. What is your non-negotiable advice regarding alcohol, drinks, and food on the first date to avoid tampering?
Well, I think, any food that's messy, that's a good one to avoid, just because you don't wanna be, making a fool out of yourself, for lack of a better term, eating something where you're getting stuff all over yourself, or it's like that kinda thing. I mentioned alcohol, I think should be kept away from the first couple of dates, just to make sure that the chemistry and the connection is genuine. 'Cause alcohol is a way of, convincing us that, there was a connection that wasn't there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. On modern complexity and after the date, safety beyond the first date. Safety does not end after a good first date. What are the key considerations for subsequent dates, especially regarding privacy and entering private spaces?
Yeah, I always believe that, a woman should have some way to defend themselves. I took martial arts, so I know how to defend myself. I'm very big on that component of the safety. I think that if you are gonna be spending private time with someone, only do it at a point where you don't have any of those, like, nagging thoughts that maybe something is still a little off. I would wait until a point where, you feel like you can trust the person, and not just in a, "I trust them to meet me on time for dinner," but in a, "I trust them not to do something bad to me."
Mm-hmm.
Which can take some time building up, of course, but, that's part of genuinely dating, and being intentional in your decisions is you want to protect yourself by kind of making decisions in a way that sets you up for success.
Mhm. Definitely. So, Mr. Justin, if someone feel uneasy after a date or after rejecting someone, what are the steps to secure their digital and physical space?
Yeah, I would say, delete them or block them off your social media, block their number if you need to and you felt that unsafe. Maybe mention to friends that you felt unsafe with this person, and notify them who the person is, just in case there's any sort of stalking or anything that happens, so that your friends are prepared to be supportive or step in if they need to.
Yes, definitely. So, if someone has frightening or dangerous experience, what is the process for reporting the individual to dating app effectively, and when should law enforcement be involved?
Well, I think if someone makes you feel unsafe on a dating app, and I use that in a very loose way because anything can make you feel unsafe. It could be someone stalking you, it could be a too much of a direct sexual, conversation, or it could be that their pictures don't match. I think you should always report those people to help other people be safe. Because if they're doing it to you and this is their MO, they're going to do it to a lot of other people and ruin a lot of other people's happiness. So I think that's important. And in terms of police, I think anything that is outside of the normal bounds of behavior, such as online stalking or showing up places that they shouldn't, that they're not invited to, those kind of behaviors should be reported to police immediately. Because those are a sign of a larger issue and something that could escalate further and further into something super dangerous.
Community specific risk, Mr. Justin. How do safety considerations and strategies uniquely apply to and should be tailored for LGBTQ plus individuals, women of color, and other marginalized groups on dating apps?
Well, I know that they have some different safety issues or incidents of safety issues. I think I heard in one of the other podcasts I was in that female on female dating violence is much higher than other populations. So I think
Mm.
just people have to be, regardless of their background, regardless if you're a minority, regardless if you're a lesbian or you're gay or straight, you just have to be careful and deliberate in your dating decisions these days. And that's really the message I want to send is that, dating these days is so inauthentic that we have to start protecting ourselves from day one when we go into the online dating world because there are so many landmines you can step on, and some of them you're blown up before you even realize what happened. So that's kind of the point I want to reinforce is that people should be considerate and deliberate about their decisions and deciding to date online because there's a lot of risk factors with it.
Definitely. So the mental health toll, Mr. Justin, constantly vetting for a safety can be exhausting and jading. How does one protect their mental and emotional energy while staying in the dating pool?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? The audio cut out.
Yes, constantly vetting for safety can be exhausting and jading. How does one to protect their mental and emotional energy while staying in the dating pool?
Oh man, that's a tough one because some of these dating apps just absolutely make you lose confidence in dating because it's such there's 1,000 men and one woman, and the odds aren't in people's favor. So I think realizing that online dating is not the real world. Like just because you don't get success in online dating doesn't mean you're an undesirable person or someone who can't date. Online dating is a very, microcosm of the dating world. So, if you're starting to feel beat down by it, take a break. Go out and hang with friends or do something else that might expose you to new people, and you'll probably have a much better outcome because you'll be doing something. You might have a mutual interest, and you meet someone, versus online dating, which is a very superficial level. You look good. I want to meet up with you. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that'd be awesome, Mr. Justin. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my Abstract Essay is already in sixth season, Abstract Poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season as well. Comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101, our fourth season. Science 101, Sex 101, and third season, and my baby podcast. Trivia 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, my Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Justin, for your perspective, what is the one thing dating app companies should be mandated to do significantly improve user safety and they can currently not doing enough of?
I think the big one would be to vet and validate who the user is that's on the platform. Because I think that right now, you have no confirmation that this person is who they say they are. And I think that would cut out a lot of the BS because then there would be an audit trail of, who is this person that, was aggressive on the date, or who is this person that stalked me online. So I think they could do a lot more to guarantee that their users are who they say they are.
Hmm. Well, Mr. Justin, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Such an inspiration by the listeners to support your app, your advocacy, or whatever project that you're doing right now.
Yeah, the app can be found at cray.app, or if you're in the App Store, cray-dating safety.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Justin Smith because if you support him, for sure more and more empowering advocacy like this will rise. So, Mr. Justin, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it.
Body people, see you soon.